slice of apple pie. Wanna see my mind, baby, you just join my ride. Getting ready for the weekend, popping bubbles through the ceiling. Sure, I got dough, but don't need it, 'cause all I want is your healing. Your healing. I'm the cool kid from the block, I'm the one calling all the shots, shots, shots. Whether you're ready or not, yeah, I'm about to pump this place up, up, up. I'm the cool kid from the block, I'm the one calling all the shots, shots, shots. Whether you're ready or not, hey, I'm about to plant it, drop, drop. We're spinning, spinning on a loop all night. Ride his backseat while he eats my soup for lunch. Feeling dizzy, flying with Lucy in the sky. Think he likes me, but baby, I just do this for fun. Are you ready for the weekend? Popping bubbles through the ceiling. Sure, I got dope, but don't need it, 'cause all I want is your healing. I'm the cool kid from the block, I'm the one calling all the shots, shots, shots. Whether you're ready or not, hey, I'm about to plant it, drop, drop, drop. Yeah, I'm the best you ever had, but you would ever understand that I don't really need a man.
You can just use them. I don't care.
I'm the cool kid from the block, I'm the one calling all the shots, 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 shots. whether you're ready or not. I'm but two panties. I'm the cool kid from the back. I'm the one calling all the shots. Whether you're ready or not. I'm but two pack this place up. I'm the cool kid from the back. I'm the one calling all the shots. Whether you're ready or not.
Bam.
Oh, we're here.
Let me make sure audio's
in
working.
your phone.
And
We're waiting
tell in
for
a
the-
second.
for the delay.
It works.
Okay, good.
All
Good to
right.
know.
Give me a second.
Oh yeah,
I
somebody
have to-
needs
yeah.
caffeine.
I need caffeine so bad.
It's a terrible habit.
It really is because the podcast is delayed because of this habit.
Well, just a couple minutes though. We're okay.
My Uber driver was in my driveway and I was like waiting for her to come to drop off the energy drinks and it was like 9:33. I'm like, hurry!
We need Red Bull.
How was your week?
It was good. Yeah. Nothing really happened.
What is the life of a Mr. Sandwich?
Oh man, lots of work at home. We're working on getting our apparel out. If you've seen any of that, that's coming soon. So, but there's still just lots of steps to complete with getting that together.
You've had quite the adventure getting the equipment, if I recall.
Oh my goodness, yeah. So we bought a printer and then returned it and then bought another printer and then returned now. So, yeah, it's been a bit of a hassle, but we're getting there.
Couldn't be me. My week is literally the same as always.
Yeah.
Work, Wonderland, work,
Wonderland,
Wonderland,
yeah.
work, Wonderland. Survey markings,
Survey markings,
Splash
yeah.
Works, survey markings, Wild Beast survey markings,
Oh,
World
yes.
Expo survey markings.
I'm excited about the Wild Beast ones.
And Frontier Canada survey. It's the survey. The whole park's being surveyed.
Well, they need to build a map. Doesn't necessarily mean they're going to build anything else, but they need a
Right?
map.
Oh man. Okay. Where do we even start?
I mean, I guess since we weren't here last week, we can talk about Tundra.
Oh yes.
Which-
Did anything else happen last week that we missed on giving news on? Just to like start it off
Not
with
that
a.
I can think of. If anybody else says anything in the chat, maybe, but off the top of my head, I don't think there was anything in particular.
I feel like there's like big stuff, but that's okay. But let's talk about Tundra Twister. I'll let you go first.
Okay. I mean, I think I was. So I said on the podcast before it opened that I was pretty sure that it was going to be like a very variable ride, like more so than Shockwave. So like you would get some really good rides and then there's some not so good rides. I think that's held up, unfortunately, even more than I thought it would. Maybe. I know you've said you've gotten a lot of kind of boring rides on it lately.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll explain my thought process. I posted my review. I got to partake in a film shoot, so we rode it 13 times straight.
Right.
And that was the best day I've ever rode it.
Okay.
And that was, what, 2 weeks ago now?
Yeah.
So 2 weeks ago, and it was because the gondolas weren't full. Like, it
Okay.
was, like, spaced out. They were having trouble keeping people on the ride because it was flipping a lot, and people were getting sick, and there was
Okay,
even
okay.
people throwing up into the garbage
Oh, my
bins at the exit
goodness.
platform. And, like, we were coming in upside. Like, it was great. And then it started to go downhill ever since that day, and then now it's just...
It doesn't do very
It doesn't
much.
do very much at all.
That first day, we got two different cycles. There was a slower cycle that they started it on, and then it seemed like they were running it faster after a few. I don't know why that decision was made, but we all noticed right away and felt like we were getting better rides on it after that. And then I don't think I've seen it run that cycle since.
No.
So, and I think that's a big part of it. It goes so slow that the gondolas have time to kind of settle out flat as it rotates, rather
Yes.
than kind of throwing them out towards the outside.
I've noticed that whatever they did with weight, or how heavy the gondola, they just can't. They like if they're gonna go flip, it's so heavy that it
Yeah,
like
they
gets
don't
out of its flip.
They don't quite make it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever they did with that counterweight when it was getting stuck upside down so much.
It does seem like they're not rotating as easily as they were when we were watching it during testing.
Yeah. If you're coming in sideways over the top, that's how you know you're gonna flip.
Yeah.
Like if you're going up sideways like this, then you're gonna flip. If you're going up like this, you're not gonna flip.
You're just gonna go flat and
Yeah.
be like a big Ferris wheel.
Ugh.
Yeah. I still like it. It's not ranked as high as I thought it would be. I would rank the cycles that we got that were the fast cycles, like right like below Shockwave for me personally. But the way it runs typically, I would put it below Cyclone as well. It's just a little too slow. Come on.
Yeah. I don't even know how they can fix it. Like, can they up the speed of this thing?
So that, I mean, they can, because like I said, I'm sure there is that one cycle where they were running it faster.
Yeah.
I think it just comes down to a combination of maintenance and how much they think the average guest can handle it.
That's true. Like, because on the film shoot day, if so many people were throwing up,
Right.
like even in our group, Craig got knocked out, then Tyler got knocked out, and then like even enthusiasts were getting knocked out,
and
then
that's the thing is these are people who ride rides a lot, so I feel like they might have slowed it down because they thought, well, if this thing's flipping like crazy, like the average guest isn't going to be able to handle it.
no, and it would do this thing too at the end on film day, like where it would get up to the top when it's coming back home. You know how it still does it now, but but we were getting stuck upside down on film day on that final rotation every time for like a good 20 seconds.
That's interesting.
Which was super uncomfortable.
I've never had that happen before.
Yeah.
I love hang time though, so I kind of wish it would when I was
and
there.
it's scary. It's scary, and it does go down a lot.
I've seen how many times did we see it running empty cycles today? I mean, every other time I looked at it, I feel like it was up there empty.
Yeah, but it is a new ride.
That's true.
It is a new ride.
That's true.
I saw Braden's comment. I was like, this brings me to a really important question because we were just talking about it before the stream started. So when we talk about 2024, we're talking most likely a flat ride or dark ride. But then that brings you to every other year. How many more flat rides can Wonderland really build?
Oh, man. I mean, it depends on how close they consider certain rides to other rides, I guess. Like, is a Scream and Swing different enough from Cyclone for them to make one? I think it is. I know a lot of enthusiasts think it is, but does Wonderland? Because if you go, like, I've said this before, but if you go online and you look at kind of what people from who have other parks as their home parks are saying, like, what flat rides they'd like to see come to their park or what their top 5 are, we already have them all. Yeah. Other than like a Scream and Swing, we have them all.
It's true.
So then they're gonna have to start building things that are either like not right for the park or not even right for us the scale of park. Like you start to get into almost like the fair rides of like, which I as much as I love fair rides, they just don't have the capacity for a park like Wonderland, right?
They also just don't fit in.
They don't. It wouldn't feel right. I mean, well, you could put it next to Time Warp and it would fit right.
Yeah, but like you heard from TPM vids, the park said that they're in a transition phase now to become a theme park.
Right. And so they're definitely, obviously looking for bigger things like, Tundra. But then that's another question is, so this is the first one that they've built of Tundra. So there could be flat ride designs that we don't even know about that the park, maybe Zamperla will show the park a design and say, hey, what do you think of this? And they'll build something nobody's ever seen. Who knows?
They do have Frontier Canada themed air races. They do, yes.
Back in the Frontier days in their airplanes.
Don't they have a flat ride in storage?
They have characters from the carousel.
Yeah. The only flat ride they had in storage is now at another park, the Great Wall of China.
Yes, that one.
I have heard they have Alpine. No, what do you call that?
Oh, Baron's Curve?
Baron's Curve, but I don't know any...
It's small enough to keep somewhere, but...
truth behind that.
Yeah.
But I don't think Wonderland has any interest in building that again either.
I doubt it. It's too small these days anyway.
Yeah, it looks like a Scream and Swing is what enthusiasts want.
I mean, it's...
So Wonderland's like, what do y'all want as a flat ride?
I hear it a lot. People say it all the time. I would love to see one. I mean, Wonderland likes building the biggest and tallest and fastest. We can get the tallest Scream and Swing.
It's true.
Right?
We could. They're great rides.
That's what I've heard. I want to go on one.
The photos are starting already. Jake, you're at Wonderland. Like, you're literally at Wonderland.
Oh, I took that earlier today.
I look so cute. I don't understand how I'm single. Okay, so Tundra Twister, I wouldn't consider it a flop though. Like truthfully, I wouldn't consider it a flop. I think it's really beautiful.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
This part's not going to make sense as to why I like it as a ride because they could have done this with any attraction. But I like the storyline that Tundra's incorporated.
Right.
And I like the sign.
Yeah, it does have a good sign.
Yeah.
The theming and everything is good. I think if you compare the line that it's been getting to like the line of typical flat rides, I think it's doing about as well as like Shockwave and Cyclone typically will have like half full lines, and so did Tundra. So I know it is a new ride, but the fast lane line was spilling out when we went to ride Tundra, which is not
today,
typical
and it was a
flat
full
rides.
line today, was it not?
It was a big line, and fast lane line was spilling out. So
yeah, like I wouldn't call it a flop, and to be honest, having maybe not the most aggressive flat ride is probably okay for a park like Wonderland.
And that's you know, I think I've said that before as well, that like I think as much as I, and I'm sure a lot of other people would like it if they turned them up a little bit, you know, there are plenty of guests who like a bit more of a mild ride with some nice views, and it still gets close to Yukon Striker, and you've got that interaction there, and you can see, honestly, when we were in Splashworks today, coming out and seeing it coming up above the change rooms, I was like, oh, it looks really good.
It's good, like it's good, but
it's not as much fun as we hoped.
can you imagine if it was the animation, being on it and having those crazy cycles, and that's not even a step close to what the animation showed?
I wouldn't be able to handle more than one go on.
No, now I'm like,
because I remember watching the animation thinking they can't run it that fast.
no. Did you remember that first animation too? It was like, it would rip itself out of the ground.
Yeah.
Okay, how many people in here right now home park is Carowinds or cares about what Carowinds is gonna get? Because I have some theories about Carowinds' next coaster, and I feel like a lot of you guys aren't gonna like it.
Oh no, I think it'll be a good addition.
It's gonna be a great addition,
just like ours was a good addition.
Waiting for the what is it? Okay, well, let's talk about it.
The best ride in the park, yeah.
What is it?
Snoopy's Racing Railway, of course.
Yeah.
It's the most well-themed ride with onboard audio, and it's the whole storyline.
They'll improve it ever so slightly for Carowinds. That little tunnel with the kaboom will be fogged up.
Oh, yeah, they'll put fog machines in there.
So this is what so I don't have Carowinds sources. I have, like, Wonderland sources. I have access to great information about Wonderland. But I have heard that this is a ride that's going to be cloned. So with the location of land that Carowinds is kind of pre-starting construction on right now, it's kind of really close to the kids area.
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense, and I think, I mean, it's a good ride. Anyone who's had a chance to get on it, I mean, it's, you know, it's not thrilling, but it's good. It's smooth. It seems, you know, like I know kids like it from the kids of people that we know who we've talked to. They enjoy it. So I'm just looking at the floor and the animation though, and that part of the ride is a little weird to me. The little like slightly tilting floor. I don't know. But anyway.
But I think it's great. So I'll explain why. So here's my theories on Carowinds. Carowinds' attendance is kind of doing this right now.
Right.
A lot of the
Steadily
American
going
parks
down.
are.
Yeah.
Carowinds is in a really weird area where you kind of have to have a car or you're transiting a really good distance to get to the park. So the average person that has a car, especially in the United States, I'm going to assume, I don't know this, is families. And Carowinds doesn't have the best family lineup. It's nowhere close to Canada's Wonderland's family lineup.
No.
Canada's Wonderland is the most successful park in the chain, like in terms of seasonal and compact attendance in a short period of time.
Right.
So if I was Cedar Fair and I was sitting at the board of directors having a meeting, how can we turn our American parks into what Canada's Wonderland is? Because I'm sure that conversation happens.
Yeah.
Like, how can we...
They want to see the success that Wonderland is having at their own parks.
I think that it's impossible to not look at how many families do go to Wonderland.
Yeah.
And those meal plans that those families load onto 6 season passes and the drink plans.
And they buy merch, they buy shirts and everything. So.
Yeah. So I think it's no-brainer, especially with the trademarks they've filed for parts of the ride and all that.
Right.
That this is going to be a cloned attraction. It has its own soundtrack. They paid voice actors.
Right. And they could put the whole Snoopy's characters and everything the same ride right as it is. So that would make sense because you can reuse a lot of the work that you did in design for this one.
Exactly. So I think it's inevitable that Carowinds will probably be the next park to see this coaster pop up in 2024 maybe, or 2025, whatever their coaster year is.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because it didn't take them that long once they got really going on it to get it done.
No, and we fell behind for something. I can't remember what.
I think just weather. I think we had some warm weather, and then it got super cold again, and I think it was weather was a lot of it. I know there's been supply chain stuff too, both with Snoopy's and with Tundra. They had trouble getting parts.
Lumber, especially. Oh my God, we'll jump right into it.
Oh, are we? Okay. That's a big one.
Wild Beast.
I hope it's a big one anyway. I hope they do something big, but...
Okay, so I have an updated map of footings. You know what? I'm not going to show you guys yet. I'll show it in a video. It's based off of the footings that are marked currently.
Right.
Obviously not done. It's still being surveyed. I think it's inevitable that it's a Gravity Group renovation similar to Grizzly.
Yeah.
It's not RMC.
No, as much as everyone wants RMC, I just don't see it. I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
And this, for what you've talked about, for what they're surveying for, I don't think there's enough going on for it to be like a full-blown...
If this is RMC, though, this is our 2025 coaster. I don't know how I feel about that.
I don't know either.
Because this would be about the time that you'd start getting ready. The ride will announce its closing for good.
How long does it take RMC to do a conversion?
Well, actually...
Because is that something that they could do more...
They would start in fall and it would open next year.
Yeah,
they're pretty quick.
Yeah, because you don't have to do the site work. All the footings and everything are there, so...
But I just... RMC is not what you guys want. Like... It's not. I think everyone looks at an RMC and they're like, "Oh, it's so cool. It's so fascinating. It's great." It does. I think if we got an RMC, you guys would really regret it because it would be down like half the season.
Yeah, I mean, from everything I've heard about how much carpentry work has to be done on Steel Vengeance, like on a regular basis, and like someone posted a photo of
Mind blower.
Yeah, with the structure just like coming apart basically, and it's like. I don't know. I see a lot of not great work from RMC, and I'm not going to try to, be too mean to an entire company, but like, yeah, it just seems like they're not the most reliable, well thought out attractions, unfortunately. Like the great track profiling, but unfortunately a roller coaster is more than that.
Yeah. Now, let's talk in favor of RMC for a second. So the go-karts today.
Uh-huh.
Did you see them?
Just
the red flags.
Oh,
there's more
I did
of
not
them
see
now.
that.
Okay.
Okay.
So the go-karts have had these little red flags in them. A few of them.
Area,
yeah, they've had them for over a year now. But as of today, there's about double the red flags. The red flags don't mean anything really. It could be for even if they're digging near the go-karts, they would still need to mark an electrical line.
Right, for where things are buried.
And that's all those flags are doing. It's marking an electrical line.
Yeah.
You can see them. It leads right up to the traffic lights on the go-karts. But let's say that is a sign that, they're going to dig up the go-karts.
If they were going to extend it over there, that's definitely a much bigger project.
That's a pretty healthy sized RMC. It's about the same size as Arangwazi in terms of plot of land.
Yeah. I don't see them getting rid of those go-karts, man.
No, they make the money.
Everybody hates them, but yeah, they make a lot of money. They make way more money than the other two upcharge attractions just because they can seat so many more people.
Yeah, so the flags could also mean they're just going to be digging near Wild Beast, and it's close.
Or they may even upgrade the go-karts. You know what I mean? Everyone wants them to go, but I see them going the other direction.
Can we get electric at least so I'm not being gassed?
That would be nice. I would love that. Redo the go-kart track, get electric go-karts. No more gasoline smell.
Everyone wants RMC. Am I the only enthusiast that is okay with not going RMC?
I want GCI.
I want a GCI so bad.
I want to see the Titan track.
We're gonna talk about GCI in a second because there's a route Wonderland could be taking with Splashworks that would inevitably lead to a GCI.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that when we get to Splashworks.
Okay.
I think so right now the fan curve is marked up, and the base of the drop, literally the pull out of the drop, is marked up on Wild Beast.
Yeah.
If you look at what they did to Grizzly, they changed the drop.
They reprofiled the drop.
Yeah. They made it steeper. So you would need to survey those specific areas.
Yeah. Did they do anything with the turnaround after the drop on Grizzly?
No.
Oh, that's the worst part.
I know. What name suits the new water ride coming next year? Someone got that survey.
Yeah, we saw a little bit about that.
Great Bear? What?
Yeah, I think it's going to be that one.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
Can
We'll
they name
talk about
everything
that.
after bears?
Well, that's like, it's weird that they're going to like literally just transition the water park into Frontier Canada as well.
I think it's going to be a mixture. I think it's going to be like Frontier Canada / like Grand Bend, Cottage Country, Beach Country type thing. Because they would have to fully overhaul everything, all the signs
ready to
and
do
everything.
that.
Maybe they will, but it would be a complete 100% change.
You saw it, all the signs are all marked up and all that too.
That's true. They do have survey markings on it.
Everywhere in Splashworks, which is crazy.
All of Splash. I mean, they probably were just trying
But
to
that
build
could
the
be
whole thing.
for multi-years, yeah. And we know one of them, which fell through. But anyways, would you guys be excited for a Wild Beast Reno? Like even, and okay, so this brings up an important topic of discussion because someone asked me this at Wonderland today. Would this be considered a new credit or a new? I know the answer to this. I don't think it's a new credit, but would the guest think that this is a new coaster? So then we got a new coaster in 2023, 2024. We're gonna get a new coaster most likely, which we'll talk about further, and then 2025 we're getting a big coaster.
Right.
A big coaster.
I think if all they're really doing is reprofiling the drop and then maybe a little bit of work on the fan curve, I don't think guests would consider it a new ride.
Yeah. Especially since it's not the full ride, which I learned today too. I did not know that the Grizzly retrack was not 100% of the ride.
Yeah, if they were reprofiling the whole thing or the majority of it, then I would say it's new, right? But if all they're doing is changing the drop, I mean, I don't think that's enough, and I feel like if enthusiasts don't think it's enough, then guests definitely won't think it's enough.
That's true. And Ryan brings up a really good point because the park said this to Craig and I, that the reason they would not do an RMC conversion and they would do a ground-up RMC is because the average guest would not view that as a new ride.
See, I've said that.
Yeah.
Enthusiasts love RMC because we know what it is and we know the potential of what they do in terms of the ride experience it can provide. But the average guest doesn't. Those three letters don't mean anything to them. I mean, and I'm not. This isn't to be insulting to anybody. Most people when they go to the theme park, they're just there to have fun. They're there for one time in a while or whatever.
Yeah.
They don't know even the names of the rides they're getting on half the time.
No.
So they're not going to know who built them.
Which I was shocked about with Tundra Twister, because did you notice that every guest knows Tundra Twister's name?
Really?
So obviously marketing did something right in talking about the ride.
They must have.
Or is it TikTok?
It could be
all
that.
Surya's, mine, other Wonderland creators on TikTok,
It could be that
and
could
guests
be part of it.
posting TikTok animations with the correct name?
Yeah.
Is that helping alleviate those problems? Because
Probably.
everyone knew Tundra Twister.
Probably.
Holy shit. I feel like we're going through these so quick. I'm seeing like the important ones coming up.
Well, this is one of them.
Okay. So, for those of you who have been on Patreon, which you should sub to, not to self-promote, you know that I've been teasing a water slide coming to Canada's Wonderland. I've been teasing it for, I think, like 2 weeks now. Whenever we did the last podcast, I started teasing it right away.
Right.
So, Wonderland may have self-leaked their own water slide.
Yeah, so there was a survey that went out asking people, hey, what do you think a good name for the new water slide would be?
Yeah, they literally said, if this new water slide, what would you name it?
Yeah.
And they give you three options.
If we were going to get a water slide. If.
But I know that Splashworks is a 2024 edition. That I can confirm. It would have to be like the only thing that would delay it if it weren't going to happen anymore would be a Wild Beast Reno.
Yeah.
But
they wouldn't be planning for a slide this far out. It doesn't take that much to get it done.
No. But if you watched, we've walked through Splashworks a lot. And as we just talked about, there's survey markings everywhere.
Oh,
and even some of the buildings, if you looked at the pavement, have almost like drawn out extensions to the buildings.
Yeah.
The change rooms on the wave pool side.
Yeah. Well, and it makes me wonder if we're going to see more of the Pizza. They added those wings on the outside, basically, with the timber kits, and that's where you get your drinks and check out. So maybe they're trying to add more stuff like that, those kind of wood structures.
And we are so overdue for a water park expansion.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this quite a bit. We'll talk about that in a second. But do you guys want to see what the new slide is? I'm asking as if I know the answer. If I don't know the answer. Do you guys want to see the new slide?
I don't know. I don't see anything in chat. I don't think they want to see it.
Yeah, I don't think. No, here, let's move on. Let's talk about 2024.
Yeah, yeah. New
Oh,
slides,
not
boy.
that, not that. They don't want to see that. No, they don't want to see that. Okay, so I see some no thank you.
No, thank
so,
you. Yeah, so
okay.
we should just move on. Yeah.
All right, let's skip over to World Expo.
Yeah, that's everyone's favorite is World Expo. Swings of the century.
All right, here we go. I don't know if this has sound or not. I hope I edited out the sound.
I guess we'll see. Looks like Great Wolf Lodge. Well, I don't know if they have a slide like this, but yeah, it very well might look like other slides.
It does.
This is something that exists in other parks already.
This is whitewater, so unfortunately Canada. Well, I personally don't like Whitewater's lineup. We looked at it right before this podcast. Like Pro Slides definitely has the better product.
It's true. But Wonderland has a lot of reasons why they might make one decision or another.
That is true. That is true. Whitewater, from what I understand, is able to produce a product much quicker.
Yeah.
And cheaper.
Yeah, that's always going to be a big factor.
The Whitewater versions are ugly. Yes,
yeah.
I agree. Like, look at this. It's so generic. Now, from what I understand, Wonderland is transitioning their water park into a Canadian theme, so I do suspect that, we might see some theming to this, because I noticed that Wonderland even paid a pretty penny for theming on their pump house that they're rebuilding.
I noticed that.
Which is weird. So that says a lot about the direction Wonderland's heading.
Yeah, I would expect that we're going to see more. I mean, that's what they keep saying, is that kind of the level of what they did for Snoopy's and Tundra is going to be what we'll see everywhere else.
Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely, not to spend too much time back on Tundra, but that was one thing that I noticed was there's a lot more theming than you would normally get for a flat ride.
And a storyline.
Yeah. Like, it's themed up to the level of, like, Yukon Striker, whereas every other flat ride is basically just they're just there with a line. There's no theming at all. Maybe the sign, I guess, counts as theme.
Even Yukon Striker has a pretty sloppy storyline compared to...
In terms of storyline, yeah.
Yeah. I did notice something, though, that's not a pool at the bottom of this water slide. That looks like a pool runway.
Okay.
Like, it looks a little deeper than, like, a runway, but it's not deep to be a pool.
I don't know enough about water slides to really say what that might be. Because I know you were saying Pro Slides does the run-outs with the drains, but...
We're not supposed to talk about that.
Pro Slides came up before.
Yeah, no. Avoid the runoff talk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, that's just a pool. That's just a pool. It's a shallow pool, but
yeah.
That's just a pool.
It's the brake run.
The pool, yeah.
Yeah, literally. Okay, so that's one of your potential 2024 water slides. I can tell you that Wonderland is looking to add water slide or water slides. Now, you would ask, what could possibly be in the works? So, we'll talk a little bit. I'm going to tell you that the area highlighted in orange was either an important area for a new water slide that may be changed, or it's still in the works.
Right.
But we obviously can tell right now that new water slide wouldn't fit here.
No.
It
Not
wouldn't.
this big raft one.
No. The area circled in yellow, it would fit comfortably.
Yeah.
So that's a potential area. The area highlighted in red does have small land clearing that has been going on for years to come, but it looks like they've been more so using it for dumping soil.
Yeah.
But that is a potential expansion area. It's also a really important area because if Wonderland were to Cedar Fair were ever to want to money grab Wonderland, which we know that they're going to need to with the direction that their American parks are heading,
Yeah.
that they're going to want to build a separate entrance with a separate parking lot eventually. But that entails expanding the water park, which, as you can see, they don't really have...
They don't have a ton of room.
No. So, the area highlighted in brown. like Carowinds, is the only option for Wonderland and Cedar Fair to expand their water park.
There's going to be some people who aren't happy to hear that.
No. But I'm not saying this is happening.
No.
Okay, let me make something clear. This is not in the rumor mill at all. Yeah, this is literally pure speculation. This has not been rung up on my phone. This isn't the podcast where I should check my Snapchat. This isn't like last week where I'm like, oh no, that blueprint.
News.
Ooh, water slides. Yes. Okay.
That's one of the reasons why I've always said that I think Wild Beast is the better candidate for some kind of conversion work, regardless of who does it.
Yeah.
Because I know Mindbuster has the nostalgia factor, but it's right in the way of the water park. You know?
Yeah. Now, I will say the opposing argument to them wanting to expand the water park is that they don't make money off of Wonderland's current status of a water park, which would lead to the red area.
And that's true, but I mean they're building new stuff for it, so they're obviously they make enough that they consider it being worth investing in.
Do they, or do they have plans to make money off of it?
Well, that could be too, but I mean they put in the cliff diving. I don't remember what came in Splashworks before that, but I mean I feel like they've been steadily adding things to it. I think there's also the potential factor for Splashworks may bring some people to the park who then go out and spend the remainder of the day in the dry park at the end, who, if there was no Splashworks, they might not come at all.
That is a good point.
So those people may then go spend money in the dry park after they're done.
But I do know that Wonderland has confirmed to me that they don't make money off their water park.
And that makes sense, because there's no merch in there really to buy.
No merch, the food. I bet you everyone's got the meal plans for the food.
And there's not a lot of whole snacking.
Games.
There's no games.
When they referenced it, they said the games, the fast lane. Now, if they were to build a water park like the other parks do, you can sell water park fast lane.
Yeah, that's something that I could see.
Yeah.
Something else that I rolled around, and I don't know if this is a direction that they would go, but we've talked in the past about them potentially being able to charge a separate fee for Splashworks. So that's something else I wonder is, like, how much could you charge for, like a Splashworks wristband, where when you go in the park, in order to be able to get into Splashworks, you have to pay an extra $10 or something.
The reason I want to entice your separate entrance, because I have discussed it before, but I noticed that the gate to get into Splashworks is marked up.
Yeah.
If you remember.
Yeah.
It's got a survey marking on it. So that could just be for a Canadian retheme of one.
It could, yeah.
But
get timber kits in.
If I was Cedar Fair, again, like I said earlier, sitting at a board of directors table, and we're looking at a park like Canada's Wonderland that's selling an estimated 1.3 million season passes, you're looking at their water park going, we could literally add an additional, 1/4 of a revenue.
Yeah. There's a lot of space to work with there if they really wanted to do something with it. So
you need a parking lot, though, so that red would have to be a parking lot.
Yeah.
And then you could literally build your gate right over here next to the Pizza and the black hole area.
That could work.
With a little bridge that goes over their service road. And then, you would have but Mindbuster would have to go, and then you would even have to potentially say goodbye to, a little bit of Whitewater Canyon. In my opinion, if you were going to charge extra...
I feel like that's tough to do. Whitewater Canyon isn't easy to modify.
No, it's not, but you can build over it.
You can build
not
over
the
top
station,
of it. Yeah.
But I don't know. This is a tricky one. I can't. I don't see them going full out, but the markings are suggesting they do have some serious plans for Splashworks.
I think they want to find out what their options are.
Yeah.
I think they're probably surveying a whole lot and having it all, done in CAD software, and then
saying no to some things.
Yeah, they'll be able to shop it out and say, hey, show us what you can build in this space, and they'll make some decisions about what they want to buy.
Yeah, sorry, I see my Patreons even being like, leave Mindbuster alone.
Oh man, we're gonna have differing opinions if they get rid of Mindbuster.
Okay, but let's talk about Mindbuster for a second, because y'all be defending her. She is horrible this year.
It's bad. It's bad.
We have a friend in our friend group where it's his favorite ride at the park.
It's his favorite, and I mean, I'll feel bad if they take it away from him, but at the same time, I won't personally be sad at all.
It's his number one in the park, though, but he says this is the worst year for it, and that he has a hard time, riding her.
Well, if a super fan even has a hard time riding, imagine how hard it is for everyone else, right?
So Mindbuster's a really interesting topic of discussion because it could segue into 2025. I find Mindbuster almost to be one of those factors that would determine what our 2025 coaster is.
Yeah, depending on what does or doesn't happen with Mindbuster.
So, obviously, at the end of this season, I would say around August, I'm going to predict we're going to hear a ride removal announcement.
Yeah.
One.
At least.
If not two.
At least one.
Yeah.
Because we know almost for certain at this point that there's one that there's got to be. So
Time Warp's going.
Time Warp's
but
going.
when is the question?
Yeah.
Because right now she's just being surveyed, but they're
I think it's
surveying
gotta
her
be
entire
soon.
plot of land.
If they're, I mean, because we were talking about like the drive tires and stuff, they're kind of letting them go a little long.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, you see them?
I think-
They're like ripping apart.
yeah, I think if they're doing stuff like that, they're probably like, she's gonna go soon, so let's just get the most out of it that we can and not buy new parts for a ride we're gonna get rid of. Like,
Yeah.
I hope.
But it's really exciting because things are happening. And if you talk to anyone higher up at Wonderland, and if you even just pay attention to Grace in some of her interviews, there's like almost a sparkle forming. Like Grace did an interview with TPM Videos, and I found it so telling.
Yeah.
Like, did you watch it?
I haven't gotten a chance.
You have to watch it. And I'm going to send you the clip after because I'm obsessed. The guy asks TPM Vids, he makes the best vids about Wonderland, like, period. He asks her about Frontier Canada, and she goes, we have things in the works for Frontier Canada, we're not done, and then literally smirks.
Yeah.
Like, the most obvious, directed at every enthusiast,
Right.
smirk. And I think that was so telling.
I mean, I still think we're on track for that development along the back path, like next to Yukon's vertical loop.
Dawson City, probably.
Yeah.
And then you have Whitewater and Action Theater that need to be turned into something. And then, I mean, the 2025 coaster could go anywhere, but I think the smirk was...
It's going to be in Frontier Canada.
I think that was her being like, you just wait and see.
Yeah.
I think, to me, this is a stretch,
One
by the
more
way.
big thing.
This is me trying to be a psychologist right now, or the people that analyze people's, like...
Psychiatrist?
Yeah.
Maybe?
She looked like she was dropping the biggest, like, you guys have no idea. And that one of my good sources tipped me off about December and how this was big.
That's true. So, yeah, I mean, I would think there's probably one more big thing coming to Frontier Canada then. It's got to be a coaster.
Yeah. I mean, what if it is RMC Mindbuster?
Oh, I don't think so. It could be. I don't see it.
A ground-up RMC over Whitewater Canyon would be insane.
And they did say in the past that if they were going to get an RMC, they would do
be
a ground up.
Which seemed telling because if you knew that already, that means you've had the conversation.
Yeah.
And RMC and Frontier Canada would work so well. I mean, look at Steel Vengeance in their Frontier area.
Yeah, exactly. That's
so, the only reason I'm like, wait, they can't build it back there because the height restrictions by the highway.
Next to how high can they go that close to the highway? Do you know?
I don't know if I want to tell my audience that because it's very telling.
Fair enough.
Just for in predicting the coaster.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wouldn't be building a really cool RMC if it's back there. So
No.
I will say that part of the park has a serious height restriction.
Yeah. They could build a launch coaster though, some kind of a blitz that stays close
Well,
to the
the
ground.
thing with the launch coaster is there's a specific. If I could just I won't say heights, but take Action Theater's very front of the building.
Okay.
And draw that line across the entire park.
Right.
There's a height restriction from there to the highway.
Okay.
Of about
But that's loads of room then on this side of the building for the high elements, right?
There is, but that would be really restrictive. That would be like you're like, okay, RMC, build this, but like you have
you can only go above
you have like a sliver
this,
of land
area.
But yeah, there is some height restrictions, and then they go inward. Like, it doesn't
Yeah.
go just like no height restrictions.
Right,
It's like
right,
you
right.
can
It's
go
like
from,
higher and higher.
yeah.
Okay.
And it makes sense because you don't want the cell phones
To potentially end up on the highway.
and that explains Behemoth's element being so angled and almost inverted at that spot, because that must have been like part of the
The
design.
hammerhead. Yeah.
The hammerhead, if not, because that is past the element, but I also think it's actually below the height requirement there.
Might be.
Yeah. I'll draw the number.
We can dig. Jasmine, I don't think they're going to dig 100 feet down so that they can have a...
There, do you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. That's not very tall.
No, but I mean, is that tall enough to do like a low to the ground launch coaster? Like how tall is the tallest part of Carowinds?
Velocicoaster fits into that.
Does it?
It does,
Oh,
yeah.
well then that's more than enough for something like that.
If you could see, let me erase that. That's like permanently on my mouse
Like
pad
scratched in there.
now. But yeah, you wouldn't want an RMC at the height restrictions back there, I don't think.
I don't think so. I think, I mean, unless they're gonna do, like a launched RMC, because you need the lift hill, right? So how are you gonna even get away with it? Because I think they would need a lift taller than that for whatever. I don't see them building a lift hill based coaster shorter than that in the adult park, like ever.
You have the World Expo area to build whatever height you want.
Right.
So or a sliver for a launch coaster in World Expo for your top hat, and then it can go do its like Velocicoaster low to the ground elements.
Right.
You can make that work back there. You're not going to waste the plot of land on something tall that can't do much outside of a sliver of land, like a B&M.
Yeah.
Like if you guys remember, I predicted a wing coaster back there ages ago, and then I got tipped off about the height restrictions. We then found the city permit that lays out the restrictions specifically.
Right.
Patreons actually have access to it. So I put the actual height restrictions on Patreon, I think like 2 months ago. But you're not gonna want that. You like a 400-foot RMC, 300-foot RMC, 200-foot RMC is not going to fit back in the Whitewater Canyon. It can fit, but height restriction wise, it's too messy.
I don't think they'd be able to make something work.
And an RMC is not going to stay low to the ground.
No, that's the other thing.
So it'd be too complicated to work. Whereas a launch coaster can do its one insane top hat and then work its way through the highway area, low to the ground.
That would make Whitewater a much more interesting ride too.
Right?
If
Verting
there was a
over.
launch coaster like flying over the troughs and everything. Yeah. And then they got to do the Whitewater refresh and like redo all the.
Yeah. So 2025 is going to be interesting because the park is already visually dropping like small little like watch out.
Yeah.
That's how I'm taking it.
Yeah.
So I'm excited, and I think 2024 will be super telling. If you see them starting in December. So I broke the news already about December construction to my audience. Do you remember if I did?
I don't remember. You might have.
Okay. Well, construction on our 2025 coaster is supposed to start in December. So that is also really telling in its size because Yukon Striker was the only other coaster to start that early, and that was simply because of an infrastructure part of the project, the tunnel.
Yeah.
So...
And I mean, it could make sense if they were going in that back area. It's
the tree removal.
Getting not only the tree removal, but like if you're trying to get coaster footings and everything in between Whitewater Canyon, you're going to have to do that without destroying the existing ride, right? Whereas, you know, if you just have an empty plot of land, it doesn't take as long. You just drive in.
And RMCs don't take very long to build, guys. Even Steel Vengeance. It was not starting in December to... Like, I always word things like...
And we're talking conversions, though, because how long did Zadra take, right? But that was ground up.
That's true.
But if we're talking a conversion, because, again, they've done all the site work, they've got all the footings there, so that's like half the project almost.
And everyone thinks Surf Coaster. Surf Coaster did not take very long to build at SeaWorld, did it?
I mean...
Jasmine.
I feel like how long something like that might take to build would just depend on how big it is and where they're putting it, right? Like.
Yeah. So you have to really think about this. They're going to start digging ground in December for a 2025 coaster. Leviathan didn't even start that early, guys. Leviathan started April 2024. So how I'm going to talk about this so it makes sense to you guys is picture whatever coaster I'm talking about is opening in 2025. And now I'm going to give you timelines for it to open in 2025. So Leviathan would have started construction April 2024, maybe March, April. They had their fence up, and they didn't even start like.
Right.
They just put up their little like, we're preparing for your future enjoyment with their little hard hat construction workers. Yeah. Then Behemoth started really early, but that was only because they poured footings inside
the lake there.
Backlot stunt coaster.
Okay.
Before, and this is the funniest thing, the park kept teasing the enthusiast community after, being like, we had footings for Behemoth done like 2 years before the ride even opened, and that I think was just because it was inside a ride that needed to be open.
Right.
But yeah, I think like when you look at Yukon Striker, it started construction same time. I think around, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it started earlier. Would have started construction April 2023, but that was because of the tunnel. Yeah. And you look at the engineering side of that, it went through vortex,
yep,
underwater, underground, and came up. And then nothing else about the ride was started.
Well, I don't know. I think if it's starting that early, they must... It could also be like, because supply chain issues have been ongoing now, and because things keep getting delayed, they may also push construction start dates back, or ahead, I guess, to try to avoid some of that. I mean, because Tundra was how late? Lazy Bear was how late?
Yeah. But then, and not to like sound cocky here, but the good source I have saying that this is big.
Yeah.
Like big, like bigger than... And
that it's going to take that much time?
I almost said something I shouldn't have said. But just... And they would have known the size of other projects.
Right. Yeah.
So, I don't know. But, like, is Velocicoaster considered a big project? Like, what's big to someone?
I mean, again, I think when it comes to something like this, because we know that the site work, the footings, that kind of thing are such a big portion of the cost and the time that it takes to get done.
Yeah.
Half that question is, where are you going to build it?
Yeah.
Right? If you want to build it in the parking lot, maybe Velocicoaster's easy. Do you know what I mean? But if you're trying to weave it into another ride and over a lake and across a path in the park, now it's harder, right?
Yeah. I really hope it's Velocicoaster.
I hope so too.
Walking around that park doing the same 3 B&Ms over and over again is getting so old on me. I am not enjoying my visit this year.
No,
like I'm so bored walking from, and now that Tundra isn't doing it for me, I was talking to you on the car right here.
Yeah, the Tundra would be a little bit more exciting.
Oh man, I'm really hoping for a dark ride in Action Theater, which you know what?
We can talk about that.
Let's go to that. Okay, so 2024.
Yeah. It's got to be Action Theater, right? They've got to be. How long is it going to sit there?
I am so done talking about Action Theater. I'm so mad.
This perfectly good building.
Oh.
With nothing in it.
Well, no. Haunt this year will be so telling. It will be so... Like, how are you going to... Like, unless they can build a dark ride starting after Haunt. Can they?
I think they could. Because it's all... Like I mean, I keep saying site work, but... They don't have any site work. The whole building's already done. They literally just have to ship the stuff in and construct it inside. Like, now again, I don't know how much the inside of the building would have to be modified, so that could be a big job. But I would assume
I could imagine
the foundation and the general structure are the biggest part. So assuming the foundation can handle the weight of whatever they want to put in there, I would think that it could go pretty quickly. And weather wouldn't hurt them. Right?
That's true.
Because it could be February and a blizzard, but the guys inside the building don't.
What a dream job!
They're doing construction inside today, right? So
that's true. And they didn't start construction on Tundra Twister until pretty late either in the winter. So if you're thinking about it, they're essentially building a flat ride, right?
But it'd be
more
a smaller
parts.
One.
Yeah.
Like indoors, so they don't have to worry about weather, and they don't have to pour a foundation. So.
But I've been predicting Action Theater since 2019.
Just keep predicting it, and eventually you'll be right.
Right?
Eventually they'll put something.
That is what people are accusing me of. But I literally had the groundwork laid out for me over the next 5 years at Yukon Media Day. I remember it, and I was told Action Theater was going to be developed into a dark ride sooner than later. It was, and the way it was worded, it was going to be like 2020, 2021 if COVID hadn't happened.
Right.
Then COVID happened. And then the Toronto CN Tower's like, yeah, we're going to build like a soaring over Canada. Yeah. So we know that in my honest opinion, like I can't wait till they do something so Wonderland can sit me down and be like, yeah, you were right. Because they do that sometimes.
Right.
Like Yukon was supposed to be built in 2016. Like they've confirmed that.
Right.
So I just want someone at Wonderland to be able to tell me, like,
or is this happening or what?
It was delayed because soaring over Canada, and we had to go to the drawing board and figure something else out.
A different thing to put in there.
Because I am going crazy getting this wrong every year.
It doesn't make sense that it's been sitting there empty year after year, and it feels like to me like this would be the easiest, cheapest, attraction for them to do. The building's already there. They've already got a queue outside that they could just kind of rework. You know, the foundation's already laid. They probably have electrical. They might have to upgrade it, but you would think that it would be the most sort of drag and drop, like Planet Coaster like addition to the park that they could have, and they still haven't done anything.
Winterfest.
And that's the other thing, right? You would give them another Winterfest ride, and we know they're desperate for Winterfest attractions.
Because Tundra Twister is able to run during Winterfest. Whether they're going to do it or not, we don't know. But they bought a ride that can run in winter. That's what the park has said. To me, like Winterfest, and we were specifically told that Winterfest was becoming not a flop, but it was declining in attendance because guests thought the rides would be open for Winterfest, and they're not the way that guests thought. So people stopped showing up the last season that just happened versus 2019.
Yeah.
So you think they would be like, the basement of the mountain, action theater, like these indoor areas that could house.
There's I mean, that's what I would be looking at if I was them, because it's kind of serves a dual purpose, like being able to add on to how much people are willing to go to and spend at Winterfest is a unique boost that you're not going to necessarily get from the flat rides.
Yeah. The Gold Pass sales rely heavily on Winterfest and Haunt, obviously more so Haunt. But I would say Winterfest, and especially with Cedar Fair eyeing the Prestige Pass, I don't know how they're going to make that work at Wonderland, to be honest, because we don't have shaded areas that they can turn into.
They're going to have to build some.
Wonderland building shaded areas?
Hey, if they can make you pay an extra $200 for your season's pass, then maybe that'll entice them to do it.
No, I have beef for a second. I'm taking over the microphone for a second. I know someone from Wonderland is in here right now. What is with all y'all and not giving us areas to sit?
They don't want us to sit.
No,
that's what I think it is.
No, I have beef. Tundra Twister. No, listen here. Tundra Twister's animation had rocks even, and we were upset over the rocks, okay?
But then the real one doesn't even have the rocks.
It doesn't even have the sitting rocks.
We don't even have the rocks.
We aren't allowed to sit anywhere. We're forced to walk around like the dinosaurs in Fantasia. If any of you have watched Fantasia, and the dinosaurs are dying off in the desert on their way to find water at the end of the world. That is us at Wonderland.
Oh, God.
Where?
You can get shade in like 2 places. You can go to the kids area behind Pizza. Mm-hmm. There's big umbrellas there.
Yep.
And then there's one spot in Splashworks, like next to the drink station you can eat.
And you got to kick the old lady with the cane over to get to it. It's a fight. Like everyone's like fighting for it.
They used to have umbrellas by like Roadside Chicken and everything up there. They took all them away, so now there's no shade. They don't have table umbrellas anymore. They got rid of them all. That's what I'm saying. They don't want us to sit. They're like, we want them to bake, so they constantly have to.
They'll have a restaurant. This is my other big. Are you still in here, Wonderland? Hello? Okay. I'm sorry. I'm ranting. I don't hate y'all, but I'm gonna pretend like I hate y'all for a second. Just we have beef for the next 5 minutes. You have a restaurant that serves like 200 people an hour, and anyone that works in retail and restaurants knows how much that is, okay? Yeah. They'll have 2 seats for guests to sit at outside this restaurant that's serving 200 people an hour. Yeah. And they'll have 2 seats with like, and they're like
where even has seating like in the restaurants, like
Lazy Bear. And then they close out the seating.
They close it, yeah. You can't go downstairs most days.
Oh my god.
Downstairs off limits, and they close the outside patio in the back. That's closed.
There's a sneaky way to get there, but
yeah.
Like they have beef with seating. Like I swear, there's like some guy that sits in head office at Wonderland, not Cedar Fair. Cedar Fair is like, we can give you all this seating, and they're like, no,
we don't want it.
No.
You can sit next to like the Pizza on International Street, the Greek place.
Oh yeah,
some chairs there.
Yeah, and the geese come up and attack you. I love that. And eat a whole slice of pizza.
They just steal your food. The geese. Yeah. They have no fear at this park. If you're from America and you come to Canada's Wonderland, just know our geese are different. They will come right up to you. They don't care.
They're docile
They
here
don't
now.
care.
They're like pets. Like I could take some of these home.
You could. We saw someone pick up a goose once.
Uh-huh.
They
Yes.
probably could have taken it home.
I believe we fought those people.
Almost.
Oh, but yeah, no seating, no shade.
No shade.
The drink plans are you
Not
buy a
enough drink
$35 drink plan to get cups of water.
Yeah, there's not enough drink stands. At least now they have them mostly open, but there's a few times earlier in the season where there'd be like 2 drink stands open in the whole park. Because the one by Yukon was closed because they're still building Tundra.
Yeah. Drink stands have gotten better in my opinion.
They're better now.
Yeah.
They have
Actually,
them.
this is the best year for drink stands because the one
It
by
would be
Swings
nice.
is always open.
It would be nice if they could get something going by Leviathan. It's kind of like
They're working on it.
kind of like a soda desert over there.
Leviathan's area is so
It's
confused. Like, okay, I'll explain it for you guys. We just learned about it today. So there's a new painted building, a Winterfest building that they put in the Leviathan area. That was supposed to be the Fastlane building, but then they changed their mind. So now they're like tearing apart the Fastlane building that was, moving it to Speed City's little ticket booth building.
Which I don't understand at all, but we.
And now they're going to turn the Fastlane booth that worked so well into a place that they sell cotton candy, snacks, and Leviathan t-shirts.
Yeah. Well, they took out all the merch from the photo.
Ages
the ride
ago,
photo
though.
place. Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
they used to have it in there, and now they're going to put it in the other building.
The freestyle machine next to Leesbury Lodge, yeah, the screen's a little broken there.
Yeah. I feel like that's been broken since pretty much they installed it. That happened, like, right away.
Yes, Action Jacks is right. Action Theater is not empty. It houses a really important haunted house for Haunt, like one of their best ones.
Oh, yeah, but I mean... he mentioned storage, but like
And
you
storage for
can store,
Winterfest.
You can store things wherever.
Yeah, there are only Christmas trees stored in there, and then it is raccoon infested as well, from what I've heard. Like, horribly.
Well, you can take care of that. That's a solvable problem.
Oh no!
We've seen how they handle the raccoons at Leviathan.
Oh. We did see that. I forgot about that moment.
We've seen that more than once.
But they have been building storage. I'm more curious about where these haunted houses are going.
I know. They said there's going to be how many this year? Not.
I have not seen construction starting anywhere.
No.
How are you going to build? Are they going to be like the haunted houses we saw at the basement of that Pandemonium?
Will they be like that maze at La Ronde? With the with the 1,000-liter totes and the pool noodles.
Like, and I'm not insulting the haunt team because they're actually
they have
like
what they
Spirit
have to work
Manor
with.
is insane.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
when they're handed, like what they like, I can tell it's what they're handed.
Of course. It's like if you give an actor a bad script, they could be a great actor, but it's still not going to be a good movie. Not the container maze. They'll just stack up shipping containers.
Okay, so so Daniel Bell said something. Daniel, be really careful posting stuff if you work at Wonderland, especially with your full name. If I could get a mod to just delete that comment just for his protection, I just said.
Well, you didn't say the whole.
Yeah, I did hear. So I heard last year. If you remember, we talked about this last year. I had heard from someone in entertainment that this would be the last season for Spirit Manor and Cornstalkers, which aligns with the 2024-2025 editions. We have seen no signs of Spirit Manor coming down yet, and Cornstalkers is sitting in there, rotting away.
I mean, would we see signs of Spirit Manor coming down though? Because they could just do that wouldn't that just happen?
Inside could be down and the facade outside.
Yeah.
Is facade the right word? I always use it. I'm like, is it?
That's the right way to say it. I think that's how you would call it, because it's like a fake.
No one's called me out
porch.
here yet. Yeah.
I think that's right. Facade.
That's the costume. Yeah, they could easily find prop and costume storage elsewhere though. Action Jacks. But
I mean, they've got like when you see the shots from Brendan's drone and they've got like shipping containers everywhere. Like I'm sure those are all full of things for storage.
And they're working on building proper storage.
But I mean, that's something that they can always like. Oh, if we need some storage, okay, get 5 more seat cans and we'll put them over here. And
you know what I'm
throw
really
everything in
excited about though, and I just thought about it right now. My eyes just lit up. Even for Winterfest, guys, Wonderland's had to buy decorations from like a third-party vendor for Halloween Haunt and Winterfest. What did they just install at their park, and were the only park in the chain to have it?
The printer?
The massive industrial 3D. That means they can literally build their own, like...
That would be pretty interesting.
Yeah, and they have apparently a really talented wood carving team now, too. They hired wood carvers.
I think they have for a while, because the sign department has always done really good woodwork.
But I thought that they had 3D printed those big characters on Snoopy's Racing Railway. But no, I had learned that actually the wood carving team made those from hand.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, those are wood.
That's awesome.
Like, that's insane.
Those are pretty big, too. Like, that's awesome. Yeah, I'd love to see more of that.
So, Wonderland has the potential to build whatever they want, and so much easier and better with that 3D printer, even, like, decoration-wise.
Yeah, I mean, I think if they can put that to use for Haunt and Winterfest, we could see some interesting new things.
Yeah.
All three... I don't think your 3D printer would be big enough for that.
Jasmine, okay, no. I'm gonna throw shade for a second. Actually, I don't know if I should throw this shade. It's about the wood team that works on the wooden coasters.
Oh, well,
they're great.
But an RMC would have metal rails, so they wouldn't have to really be involved in the track work.
And they actually could be told to just let the rides rot right now.
That's the other thing is you always have to remember that. Just because you see a certain level of work being done by people who work for a company doesn't necessarily mean that that's like the best those people can do. You don't know how much time they were given, what they were asked to do. Like,
no, I have more beef. I have rant. You guys are triggering me. Oh my god, this should be a new segment where the Patreons try and trigger me because R ... just triggered me. Bring back the front gate graveyard. What the hell did Wonderland do? So the costumes at the front gate are some of the coolest, and it's supposed to be the gates to hell, right?
But there's like no decorations.
There's no decorations.
The whole like front entrance area has like it's got the big skeleton guys and the
which is
flowers,
cool.
but like other than that,
do you remember when they made the decision to make it really pretty the year before, and it was like pumpkins and wagons and everything?
Yeah.
And then the haunt would start, and it's like,
No, they need some big like fake stone pointy archways or something.
Gates
you know
to hell. Like I
exactly.
want gates.
Yeah,
I want like fire. Like people
Make people
dying.
walk through like a big archway with glowing eyes and smoke and stuff.
There is no room for decorations. I get that, but you have areas you could put decorations that would work.
You could. I mean, they would have to be off on the edges.
Yeah.
Right? But you could make it work. But you couldn't just put them out. Out and about like they have.
Yeah, you hire some of your best talent for these areas, and you give them nothing to work with.
Yeah.
Like, and then you wonder why like people are harassed by that. Like you need a scenery. Every other area has it, and then the front gate's like, we're gonna put some of our coolest costumes and actors there, but you don't have a scene to work with.
Yeah.
Like I think clowns have a cool scene. Everywhere has a cool scene, but the front gate area.
Pretty much. Yeah. I think there's room around the edges.
Yeah, 100%.
I guess Farmstead is a little limited. Like they have the scenery that works with it, but it's very like
Farmstead's confused between a haunted house and a scare zone.
Exactly, because it's like you kind of go through in this line, but you can't hang out in the area.
Yeah.
I think they should move it.
You know what I'm really excited about for Haunt? Dark Ride, because it's coming from Knott's. And Knott's is known.
Oh, the maze?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we're getting shipped all their stuff, it's going to be good. Because that's like, Knott's, they're just below Universal Studios when it comes to their haunted houses.
Theming and everything? Yeah, that's what I've heard.
It's a really ugly storyline in my opinion. Like, it's stupid, but it's just so the whole thing is supposed to be like, there's a killer in the Dark Ride, but they made the killer a clown.
Oh. Because we already have Carnival.
Yeah, so that makes me think that the bumper cars are going to be closed this year, and instead of Carnival the Haunted House, which was discontinued 3 years ago, they're going to do Dark Ride.
Oh, but I like the
or it's going to be in this half of the mountain, because there is this side of the mountain underneath Thunder Run that they can build.
I hope that's what they do. I got to get on the bumper cars this year.
Yeah.
I have a rivalry with the clown in there. Coming for you, Skyless.
But I'm excited for Haunt because they made a lot of promises that seem really cool, and yeah.
I'm always excited for Haunt.
All right, do you guys want to see a leak for the 2025 coaster? If you do, say yes. No?
No? Oh, I don't see anyone.
There's poor communication going on here. No,
No, thanks.
Okay, here you are. I won't know anything until December.
No, unfortunately.
Yeah, so we gotta wait. I won't know any inside information, like serious inside information, until December. I just know it's big. That's literally all I know.
That's good.
It's
Big is good.
Big's
when it comes
good.
to coasters.
The disrespect. All right, let's talk about World Expo.
I don't even know what to think about World Expo at this point. I feel like it's pretty far off.
It is pretty far off. My American engineering friend was basically like, when you have so much land being surveyed and you know that it's for a coaster, which we know that if they're going to do World Expo, there's going to be a coaster. You're thinking 3 to 5 years out, minimum.
That would make sense.
Like, so basically how it was worded to me is, let's say I was assuming this was for 2025, which I started to get a little confused, which I was super honest about in the podcast.
Right.
You know, I was like, what's going on? I'm confused. But essentially, a 2025 coaster is done planning. Like, it's been designed. Like, whatever company built it, it's done. They're starting to, like, get parts ready. Wonderland's hiring the construction teams, everything, which I already know, that they would do because of Yukon. I remember that. And where was I going with this? Oh, so essentially for a 2025 coaster, you wouldn't be surveying. That's done.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because 2 years ago, all the survey markings were in
That's
Frontier
true.
Canada.
That's true.
On the buildings, they surrounded Whitewater Canyon.
Yeah.
They literally did. So now that I know, I just thought about this. I can't believe I didn't make a video on this. Now that I know what those distance markings are, that they represent a barrier.
Right.
It literally enclosed. It went down the splash path.
Yep.
And then it went down towards Action Theater. It literally surrounded Whitewater.
Yep.
So now that I know that's what that means, and then the X's with orange paint on the ground are points of interest.
Right.
It all makes sense that, yeah, like in my opinion, the 2025 coaster is a no-brainer going in Frontier Canada.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Now, it could be wrong, and it could be like a Whitewater Canyon refurbishment, and that's why they enclosed that area. You know what I mean? But
I don't know that they would need to do any major surveying for that. I feel like a Whitewater Canyon...
Not for theming.
If it was just theming, if they were going to really change it, but then at that point it would basically be a new ride, right? So
yeah. I'm trying to see if... okay, good. So it's essentially World Expo is like 3 to 5 years out minimum. If you're building a flat ride in World Expo, you could survey the year before. So Tundra Twister,
right,
survey markings popped up in 2022.
That's true.
For 2023.
Yeah.
So there are things.
So
yeah,
that could happen pretty quickly then.
Which makes also sense that the water slide, the water park survey markings are for 2024.
Yeah.
Whitewater Canyon refurb is a big deal. Yes, if you're thinking about like an actual refurbishment, and we're hearing rumblings that Carowinds is thinking about refurbishing theirs.
Yeah.
And they've been held off on theirs.
So yeah, so just to clear up, like when I say refurbishing it wouldn't be a big deal, I'm thinking like going in and like
Timberwolf.
Yeah, like doing more theming, getting maybe rockscapes to come in, the people who did the cliffs for the cliff diving, and getting them to come in and like build up the sides and make it look like you're actually in a canyon and change up the rapids a little bit, versus actually changing the ride itself and, you know, putting something new or different there, or really changing the experience in a big way.
Yeah. So, World Expo.
The end of Time Warp?
It literally, like, and potentially Flight Deck now.
And, yeah, maybe.
So, like, I thought about this. I put a lot of thought into this. I think it's pretty obvious that the park is... I think it would be really dumb if the park didn't play on the cultures that are coming to Wonderland.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Like, I would love to see, again, like, a Middle Eastern or... Like, how do I word it better? Like a Middle Eastern area, like a Japanese and like Chinese area, like an Asian area.
Yep.
Even maybe like a Jewish area. I hope I'm saying the right words. I'm not saying anything offensive right now.
I think we're trying to be inclusive.
Yes.
And so I think we're good.
I think that Wonderland should play on the cultures that surround the park and go to the park, and that would be perfect for, like, even a Greek area would make sense because there's a lot of Greek, like, people that live around the park. It'd be really cool.
I think so.
And the food-wise, it'd be great.
Definitely.
Like, you can...
A lot of opportunities for food in a World Expo type place. I'd love to see them do more with food that is actually like fun and interesting. I find that a lot of the food at the park is sort of like it's like fuel. You know what I mean? It's like you're going to the gas station because you have to.
Yeah.
Very rarely do I find myself thinking like, oh, I want to go get that thing because it's good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I really want them to bring back the old Japanese restaurant. That's like my biggest, like, if they even just did that, I'd be like, you're done. World Expo's back. Great. You can keep Flight Deck.
yeah.
Just want that Japanese restaurant back.
I still want them to get rid of Flight Deck.
Yes, Rocky Plays. But so what could they do, ride-wise?
They can do anything in there. There's so much space, especially if they get rid of both of those two.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we'll see something of a spectacle, though. I think what you're talking about with height restrictions kind of makes sense why they would want to put a launch coaster at the back and then something tall
Yeah.
at the front.
I just pictured something in my head. The points of interest around Time Warp and Flight Deck. Time Warp is the station for a wing coaster.
It could be.
And did you notice that the points of interest go on a diagonal from Time Warp towards Front Gate on a diagonal path through Flight Deck?
And then so you're thinking
it would head over
interaction
there.
with Front Gate, yeah.
Just thought about that.
It could be. I mean, I'm sure they're very happy with how Gatekeeper looks.
Obviously.
Point, so
at the end of the day, if I get my launch coaster and then they want to build a wing coaster, 2-3 years later, go for it. As long as I have my...
I'll be very happy if we get something similar to Velocicoaster.
Yeah.
Very, very happy.
It's going to end up... I'll be happy with this, too. It's going to end up being Mach.
Mach would still be good. I don't have a problem with Mach.
If it's like Copperhead, I might be a little upset.
Fair enough.
But if it's like an Extreme Spinner, then I'll be equally happy to a Velocicoaster clone, I think. Not clone, sorry, Velocicoaster.
I think, though, that if the park went to Mach and was like, we want Velocicoaster, can you do that? I don't see any reason why Mach would say no.
No, definitely not. It would be really pricey, because I think Mach's more expensive than Intamin.
Are they?
Yeah. I think
Maybe
so.
they think it's worth it because they just don't want to work with Intamin. I don't know.
But if Intamin's working on top of the dragster, and this project is as big as it's going to be, maybe Cedar Fair's trusting enough to be like, hey, our Canadian park could benefit from something not as big as Top Thrill Dragster.
Right. That could be, yeah, because if they're back to working with Intamin again, they might be just thinking, well, we're here anyway. Let's grab a couple roller coasters.
Our park over at Wonderland, they got a lot of family coasters. Can you build them something that'll make them throw up?
Yeah, we do need that.
On that note, though, if people can't even handle Tundra Twister without throwing up, and did you see Wild Beast's Station today? Did you go on it?
No.
There were 3 vomit spills in Wild Beast's Station at different areas, not cleaned up either.
Who is vomiting from Wild Beast?
It was in the loading platform, too. I don't think it was from Wild Beast.
You all need to drink more water throughout the day. Like, it's hot out there, Drink.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Everybody's out there getting dehydrated.
Can you imagine them riding, like, a Velocicoaster at our park, though? Or even an Extreme Spinner?
No.
Like, it would be like they would have to build, like, a vomit station.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what we were saying about Tundra. Was like, if they had the cycle going that fast, they'd need extra garbage cans just for that.
But I think all in all, we have World Expo, we have 2024, we have our new slide, we have our Splashworks expansion, we have...
Oh. The light just to rotate for no reason.
What was that? This is haunted. Did y'all see that in the mirror? Or in the picture frame? Did anyone see that in the picture frame?
They probably did. It rotated.
Please tell me someone saw in the picture frame what just happened. Someone, please tell me that we aren't crazy.
The Roller Coaster Tycoon guest thinks Extreme Spinner is too intense. Yeah, they might.
There's a ghost. The whole light there. Oh, you guys can't see my mouse. In the picture frame right here, it just rotated.
Yeah, that's pretty weird. Well,
so we're not gonna. It's very promising.
I think it looks good. I think we have a lot to be excited about. It'd be nice if Tundra was a little better. But I still think the guests are gonna like it. I still think it's in the right place for guests to enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even gonna let y'all get away. Y'all wanted a Ferris wheel at Wonderland, and you got your goddamn wish. You got your goddamn wish.
But I can't take my camera on this. That's the whole point of a Ferris wheel.
Y'all asked for a Ferris wheel a little too hard.
Oh man.
Wonderland's like, how do we disguise a Ferris wheel into a flat ride?
The most complicated looking Ferris wheel. The scariest Ferris wheel.
You get your views of Yukon, Frontier Canada. It's all there.
Slashworks, yeah.
It's a sassy Ferris wheel. I guess we could start the question period. What time is it? Yeah, it's almost 11. So
20,
yeah. Question period, everyone. Ask your questions and we'll quickly wrap up because Mrs. Sandwich is waiting for Mr. Sandwich.
I don't think she's waiting, is she?
Is she?
I don't know. She's on her way, maybe.
Yeah. I don't see anything yet.
So let's see. Questions.
Delayed.
How much Nike tech at the park? I didn't
Too
keep
much.
track.
I missed stream. Can you do a quick recap?
Will front gate potentially get an upgrade too in 2025? I think that's a little early. I think if they're especially if they're planning on that whatever coaster they build in World Expo having anything to do with front gate, I think we might have to wait until, what do you think, 27 or even 28?
2027 is supposed to be
2027.
Yeah. I think that the park's under a rapid expansion, so typically you wouldn't see this many coasters back to back to back to back.
Yeah.
But the park is in like a lot of rides are expiring. Like they're reaching the end of their service life.
That's true.
And then 1.3 million season passes. You guys can't you can't ignore that number. Is Dragonfire in the long-term plans for Canada's Wonderland? It can't really be in the long-term plans.
Yeah, I mean, I would expect almost the opposite. I would think that they would do Medfair last if they're working on kind of adding and upgrading the theming at the park, because Medfair, I would say, is probably the most themed that there is at this point. Like, it's not a great theme,
Yeah.
but it's there. So I would almost expect that they might be looking at, like, okay, when we go to retheme it, then we'll do something with Dragonfire. But I can't imagine that they're sitting here thinking, like, yes, this Aero Looper is going to be with us until the end of time.
So how do you theme go-karts to Medfair? Like, you get little wagons?
Oh my gosh. I mean, you don't. You just don't. You just ignore. You just pretend.
You get those little rideable characters that you see people at the mall on. You just get a bunch of those, and like everyone's riding little horses or cad. Like,
oh my gosh. It'd be terrible. I don't think you could do it. I think they just have to pretend and just, like...
Is Marineland just dead in the water? I can tell you that Hershend explored buying Marineland last year, and they're open to conversations still, but I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Marineland's in a tough spot.
I think the contract that the owner, and this is all speculation, I think the contract the owner has is too restrictive. From what I've heard, a lot of people have wanted to buy Marineland, but essentially, to give you a little context speculatively, is that the right word?
Maybe.
Take this with a grain of salt. This is just speculation. Don't sue me, Marineland. The owner has made it so you can't change any existing buildings on site. You have to keep the animals, and all the rides and names of the rides and theme of the park has to stay the same. You can't touch or move anything.
I mean, that nobody's gonna touch that.
You have no freedom.
Even just having to keep the animals, nobody's gonna touch it.
Yeah. So I think that the owner is a horrible person. the woman. I used to like have a little bit of like, oh, she wants to do good. But if you are trying to sell a park so desperately and you're not finding buyers and you're so attached to your horrible image that you're unwilling to allow people to change things and you clearly aren't selling the park, then you're dumb. You're not a businesswoman. You suck.
I think at this point, it's just going to be a matter of when at some point a financial institution comes in and says, okay, you haven't been paying your other bills, so this is ours now, and they force them to sell it.
Yeah.
Because if they're trying to put those kinds of restrictions on it, like, even just having the legacy of the animals there is bad enough to keep a lot of operators away, I think.
Yeah.
Like, if you think about what we're talking about is a huge plot of land right next to Niagara Falls that is zoned to be a theme park, and nobody wants it.
They do.
But nobody's buying it, right?
Yeah.
So it's like there's obviously something really wrong that is keeping people from, because in theory it should be a prime location. It's already a tourist destination, right? You don't have to rely on the park to bring people to the location because they're already there because it's Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
It's right on the border so you can attract Americans easily. It's already zoned to be a theme park, so you don't have to worry about dealing with planners and zoning and everything like.
And you could build hotels even. It's such like a
so much
profitable
room.
model for
There's
anyone.
so much more room than you actually need for.
But it's the contract. It's the
And
contract. Her stupid little contract.
Yeah, nobody's gonna sign that.
So I hope she goes bankrupt.
Hope she
Because
comes to her
she's shooting
senses.
she's shooting that park in the foot right now. It has potential to be great, and it has potential to literally make Wonderland even try harder than they are now.
Exactly. Yeah, having some competition that close would definitely change things for Wonderland. Like if a good operator came in and bought that park and started putting in good rides.
Yeah. What do we think of the cable car transit system that has been keyword proposed as an option?
I think it's a joke. I think it's a joke gadget bond, and I'm not gonna get too much not just bikes on here, but it's not gonna happen. Get over it.
How do you operate that in like extreme weather? Like when you can typically run buses in extreme weather.
You don't.
Yeah.
The answer to any question that you have about that cable car, like, well, how does it do this or how do you do that? The answer is it doesn't, and you don't.
And falling ice onto cars on the road below.
How do you deal with that?
You
don't.
Right?
That's
so
the answer, right?
It's not gonna happen. Extend the subway. That's a little costly for the reason. The reason they want to, like, who proposed that? Was that Wonderland? Like, hey, at the meeting, be like, hey, we would like better transit.
Can we have a subway?
So they're like, okay, well, we can't exactly afford a subway.
We're not
so
giving you your own sub.
you can have a cable car.
Honestly, that cable car thing strikes me as just something where it's some investment firm looking for money, and they're like, hey, look at this cable car thing we could build. We just need a few $1 million to investigate it, and then they'll be like, oh no, it won't work.
Yeah.
Sorry about
like
the money.
a monorail would be smarter, but I think the thing with the monorail is it wouldn't be able to keep up demand, whereas the cable cars had a little bit of a better shot at keeping up with demand because they're constant.
Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of those things are.
Because the reason they're proposing this is actual substitution to transit, is my understanding.
Which makes no sense.
Yeah.
Just
so
build,
monorail wouldn't be able to keep up with that.
We already
demand.
know how to make transit, so they don't need we don't need new technology to make good transit.
What is with Canada being so against subways? Like every other major city does subways so well, and then Toronto and Canada's like, we'll give you one new line. Whereas like every other city's like 20 lines going out of like one area.
I don't know. I think it's partly money.
Well,
partly.
Apparently we're sitting on 22 billion excess funds
well, then
in
we'll
Ontario.
Get some transit. Come on.
Oh, they wanted transit that is seasonal.
But why would they specifically want transit that can't be run? I get that you would say, well, because we only need it in the summer, then it doesn't matter if it can run in the winter. But I don't get why you would specifically install something that can't work. Do you know what I mean? Like what?
Yeah.
Because. But I just don't see it as something that's going to happen in general. To me, whenever I see anything like that, is literally just somebody's trying to get investment money.
Yeah. Action Jacks, those cable cars are used in other cities as transit, but they do it due to elevation barriers. That makes sense.
Yeah, cable cars are used. Like, there are even places where they have, like, it's like a train car that climbs up the side of a mountain on this big, like, track, and there's a gear and a cog, and those work in some places because they have to go up the side of a mountain. But there's, you have to, like, you do these things because of the restrictions and limitations where you're working with, whereas, like, they don't have that here.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's going to happen, personally.
Right? 5 years later, Winterfest gets huge, and they're like...
Yeah,
Oops.
or any other reason. I mean, if you wanted to expand that, like, how do you build more onto a cable car system? Like I said, you don't. Like...
Build a bus lane. Like...
Yeah.
Everywhere else
Bus
is building
lanes
bus
work.
lanes. It's all done Yonge Street and the Highway 7. They work really well. Yes, building them ruins traffic for like 5 to 10 years, but... they are about to extend the road, though. I can see signs on Wonderland's side. There's like orange paint all the way down. They're marking up all that thing. They're about to expand that road.
Oh,
extend
you mean
that road.
the Wonderland Drive? Yeah.
No, the Jane or...
Oh, the one out.
Jane,
the
yeah.
one out in front.
Yeah.
Do you think they're coming in on the hill that Wonderland
They are,
has?
yeah. It looks like it.
I wonder if Wonderland had to give that up to the city.
If they did, then there's definitely something benefiting Wonderland in the end.
I would think so.
Yeah. Like a hotel contract that they were having so much trouble getting the first time around.
Yeah.
I don't see any other questions.
Anyone else with a question?
Kimberly, I've heard that suggestion multiple times. That would be brilliant for Marineland and Niagara to have a good outdoor water park.
Yeah, it would be. There's the thing is, there's tons of great stuff you could do at Marineland. The question is, who's going to do it?
Yeah.
Because the current owners aren't going to do anything with it, and if they have these crazy restrictions on the sale of the park, nobody else is going to want to put their hands on that.
But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone hit that like button. Rude.
How-
Free entertainment. No, I'm kidding.
How was my day? My day was good. Started with fish and chips at Splashworks.
What's the
which is always good?
lifespan of a B&M?
Oh,
It's
geez.
about 20 to 30 years, from what I understand.
I think it's more about cycles. Because look at the Hulk.
It lasted 20 years, but it ran
But
year
they were,
round.
that's what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
The last 20 years, but they ran year round. So I bet if you could figure out how many trains they sent, that would give you a good estimate. Because it's all about, like, I would imagine if when a B&M sits there in our park for 3 or 4 months, that has an effect on it, but it's not going to wear it out as much as running heavy trains on it all the time, right?
The new owner, the current owner of Marineland, does plan on making investments. There's a reason she's selling the land around the park, but also keeping the ownership of the land, like leasing it back. Also, it was what is the lifespan of the bat?
The bat. Oh.
I mean, they seem to be wanting to keep that, so...
They really want to keep it. I keep seeing things happen to it and thinking to myself, this is it. One more thing. But it must not cost that much. The other thing is it's so small.
I think it's
Like, people-
clickbaity, too.
Yeah, people complain about the capacity of it, but like, it's the thing you have to remember with capacity when we're talking about rides is the footprint as well, right? Like Leviathan has huge capacity, but how many flat rides could you put in the space Leviathan takes up, and what would their capacity be?
Yeah.
Right? So, capacity isn't the only thing to think about, but it's definitely
Yeah. And the park did confirm that capacity isn't always on their mind.
right. And so that's the thing is, like, I'd like to see them do something different where the bat is, because it's kind of an old, tired ride. But from their perspective, like, if it doesn't cost that much to maintain, it's doing its job. It's
Yeah.
low throughput, but it's also very small. So
Exactly. Wonderland has a lot more land to work with than people give it credit. Again, Whitewater Canyon is a massive
there's a
plot
lot
of
of
land.
space there. Yeah.
Yeah, and then World Expo's like an entire theme park for
Yeah.
some. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, I think so. No more questions.
Yeah,
So that's
I'm
it for
so.
this
Can you
week.
see how red my eyes are, guys? My allergies are terrible, and I'm
Oh,
tired.
no.
I know when I work early in the morning.
Ugh. We should probably wrap up then. We'll see everybody next week, same time.
Yeah, I'm already.
Saturday?
I'm just. It might be Friday next
Might be
week.
Friday,
Yeah, we
okay.
might do it Friday night.
Okay.
Because I would like to enjoy the full day at Wonderland on Saturday
I
because
get
I
that.
work in the
Yeah, yeah.
morning, and then Friday night. Friday, I'm filming something really cool with a company. I'll tell you guys later. In Niagara Falls, not Marineland. Don't worry. So yeah, that'll be exciting. And I think that's it.
All right. See everybody next week.
Have a good one, guys.
Bye.